What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast, episode 85, coming to you on a Thursday, March 9th in the year 2023, in case you're listening to us and maybe 2027. Yeah, let's not go too far tonight. We'll just go a little bit into the future. I got my heterosexual life mate over here to my left. Austin, how are you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. We got some special announcements to make, and we also have a special guest. Would you mind introducing our guest?
Yeah, we got a good guest on tonight. I think it'll be a good episode. We got Matt Klein on. How's it going, Matt?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good, man.
Pretty good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt.
I'm a recently retired NYPD detective sketch artist. I was in the U.S. Army earlier on, towards Iraq, 4 years with U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division. And I was Iraq 03, 05, got out, became a police officer, had some artistic background, found out about a sketch artist unit, and did that for another 8 years, and just recently retired. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Mm.
Awesome. We'll definitely get into more on your background here, but first we got to hit our sponsors and go over a couple other special announcements, and then we're definitely going to get into a little bit more on that. Our first official sponsor of the Fight
Hey,
Like Hell.
hey, hey,
What?
hey! Before you get into that, why don't you do the big bold capital things that are right there in your face?
Oh yeah, promote
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
I
You
always
always
forget.
forget. Like it's right there.
So what we used to do, Matt, was we'd always promote ourselves at the end of the podcast. And like some people check out at the end. They hear ATI, they don't really need to hear us kind of wrap up the episode. And we don't tell anyone to like share the episode until the very end. So they would have to stick with us until the end. And luckily and amazingly, we're actually heard in I think 16 or 19 different countries.
That's cool.
And it's crazy because we have people write into us from like South Africa and
Yeah,
Ireland and
that's
just
awesome.
Australia. We're like, what the fuck? Why are people listening to us over there? That's wild. And everyone is super supportive and is behind the Fight Like Hell mission. But with that being said, if this is your first time listening, if this is your 85th time listening to us ramble, please do us a favor. If you like this podcast or you're interested in the stuff that Matt's about ready to explain to us and you enjoyed the episode, please go out there and share the episode. Go out there and share our podcast in general. Try to help us get out there a little bit more. And if you know of someone or you want to come on the podcast, please reach out to us in our DMs and we will see what we can do about getting you on. All right. There we go. I promoted ourselves.
Okay, good job, good job. You always skip over that.
Okay, I guess we should go into the next announcement that's even more important too.
Yeah, man.
So this is kind of interesting, Matt. You might think this is cool. Yesterday actually marked our 2-year anniversary of doing
Congratulations.
the podcast. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
Oh.
Most podcasts fail at about 10. We're 85 in,
It's good.
and we hit our 2-year mark
2 years of
yesterday.
putting up with your bullshit.
I mean, it's longer than that when it comes to like business
Well,
and friendship.
yeah,
with the
but
podcast, at
on this
least.
podcast.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool accomplishment because I mean, the only reason why I want to touch on it for a second is there's a lot of times we do this podcast, and I know we've said this at nauseum for those who have listened for a long time. Austin and I get a little bit trying to think of the word, like it's not that it becomes repetitive, it's just
Just
it's a
burnt
lot of
out.
work. Burnt
Yeah.
out, exactly. We get burnt out on doing the podcast. But then when we skip a week or we skip an episode, you guys usually let us hear. And then when we actually do the episodes, when we have people on like Matt or any of our other, probably like 70 guests at this point, every single time Austin and I at the end of the show say, holy shit, that was worth it. That was a great episode because literally the people that come on the podcast as our guests are what makes this show special. So we appreciate people like Matt being on here and we appreciate you celebrating our 2nd year of doing this. And yeah, we'll get into the show. You know what? I don't even want to do the promos. I feel like we wasted a lot of time with that. Like, let's just get into it.
Yeah, fuck our promotions.
Fuck our promotions. We're gonna lose our sponsors in our second. Yeah, no, let's just get into it. Weekends adventures. So, Matt, this is a section that we usually talk about things that we did either the previous weekend or plans we have for the upcoming weekend. We'll start off with Austin because he's always very short about this. Austin, what did you do last weekend?
I mean, the only thing I've done in the past week is yesterday was my wife's birthday. That's the only thing I did.
Happy birthday, Jess. The elusive
which is funny.
Jess who will not
Which is
be
funny.
on.
Which is funny because we started this podcast 2 years ago on her birthday.
They were fighting that night, and Austin definitely did not get lucky that night.
Fuck you! I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was like, and we have to talk about that every year now. Like, we're like, should we do the podcast on Jess's birthday? So the other day, he was talking to us, or I was talking to him. I was like, tell Jess we're doing the podcast on her birthday. And I could hear in the background, fuck you, we're not doing the podcast on my birthday. You did that to me 2 years ago, and you threaten me with it every year. Yeah, it's going to be a thing.
But yeah, that's the only thing I did for Weekend Adventures.
What did you guys do for her birthday?
Went out and spent way too much money, and then went out to dinner.
Okay. Where'd you guys go to dinner?
It's a pizza restaurant here. It's called Kaleidoscope.
Okay. Dope. I'm sure Matt down there knows a lot about pizza because he's
the king of pizza.
He knows about thin crust pizza, like New York style pizza. He ain't got nothing about pizza.
That's fighting words, man. I don't know.
Dude, I can hear the New York accent when you talk. I love it. I love it. It's so cool. All right, let's turn it over to you, Matt, so you can talk a little bit. What have you done either the previous weekend or what do you got coming up this weekend?
Not much. Just run around. I'm getting my kids and stuff. I get my kids every other weekend, so getting ready to gym, hang out with them, go to the movies. I think we're going to go to the movies Sunday. But mostly I just draw a lot. So the artist thing has not stopped since I've retired from the NYPD. I just keep drawing and drawing. I have all these different projects lined up, and I'm just knocking them out, having a good time. That's it. Staying busy,
Okay. What movie do you guys think you'll go see?
65. So
what is that?
65. Never.
Yeah. No. So I'm obviously a big nerd, and what do you call it? It's a movie. What's his name? He was a Marine. Adam Driver. He's in a spaceship colonizing some planet, and he crashes, and there's dinosaurs and shit.
Yes.
Yeah. It looks good. Man. So it looks really good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And the people that wrote Quiet Place wrote it, so my fingers are crossed.
That was a good movie. Those are good movies.
So you know the actor, right, Austin?
Yeah, I know who. Of course, I know who Adam Driver is. Yeah. Of course,
yeah. Dude, that dude is such a badass, and he has no social media. I respect that so much to be that famous and have no social media presence. He might have Twitter, but I know he doesn't have Instagram. Yeah. And I mean, I don't really check on Facebook, but I'm assuming he doesn't really use Facebook.
But look forward to it.
Yeah, that should be really good though.
Oh my God. I might have to. I want to yell this right now because Amanda's actually in my house, but I need to go see that this weekend. Austin, remind me. I want to go see that movie. Okay, cool. So sounds like you have a fun weekend coming up, and then I guess for me, what did I do last weekend? I was in Sedona.
You went to Sedona.
Yep. The pups and I. So. Since you're obviously not tracking my backstory in life, Matt,
maybe you should be. Jeez.
No. My fiance just moved up from Texas about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
She moved in with her dog. We both have the same type of dog. They're both outdoorsy types of dogs, and we did a whole bunch of outdoorsy shit out here because we're out in Arizona. I live and work at the Grand Canyon.
Oh, very cool.
So we had a pretty dope weekend. And then this weekend, from what I understand, we are relaxing because we
You
did
mean you're gonna go
Vegas.
see a movie, right?
Oh, on Sunday. On Sunday, 100%. I'm going to text her right now so I don't forget. And you can get
You're like,
into
we're going to Flagstaff
That's
and
it.
going to go see a movie.
Yeah. All right, you get into the next part, Austin. I'm making sure that I don't forget this. I have to see this movie.
Okay,
I saw
yeah,
I saw the previews. It looks sick.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit about you, Matt. Let's get into your backstory. We like to start from the day that you're born, until now. You know how much you weighed and all that. Yeah. So let's get into like why you joined the military, what made you decide to join the military, what you did, all that.
All right. So, I mean, I grew up in New York, Long Island. Growing up, one of the things, my grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was a dive bomber pilot. He served on the U.S. Ticonderoga. He fought in Okinawa, Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, and did a lot. And I remember growing up with those stories, and he was very vivid about all the different stuff. His brother got killed. His brother was a navigator on a B-17 Flying Fortress and was shot down over Germany and killed. And so I always grew up with those stories. And I remember him telling me like Pearl Harbor, he was like him and his brother, they went and they friggin' signed up together. And, he went to the Army Air Corps, which ended up being the Air Force. And then he went into the Navy and just always grew up with that, that loss that he had and everything. And my dad didn't serve in the military. My dad was an artist. He was a crazy artist, very talented, worked for Warner Bros. Disney, did a lot of design work, cartoons, animation. Wow. He did everything. So I always grew up with that. Never thought it would ever be like, to me, I was never like a career thing. You do very well and then do very poorly. So it was always kind of like, I always kind of like wanted the stableness. So then flash forward, 9/11 happens, and that was like Pearl Harbor to me. I wanted to get into the fight.
So how old were you when 9/11 happened?
I graduated high school in '99, so I was probably 20 when it happened.
And you were in New York when that happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what was your perspective on that whole situation?
Yeah.
I mean, so I live on Long Island. Long Island's like a island that hangs off of New York. So it was pretty far from me. But I remember I carpooled in with my manager. I was working in retail, and she was a girl I went to high school with. And we're driving, and we came over the radio that a plane had hit. So instantly I thought like Cessna, like a small little plane, accidentally veered off and hit it. So then we get to the work. We worked it out in the outlets, and we turn on the news right away, and you hear like a second plane hit. I'm like, oh shit, that's terrorism. Turn on the TV, and you see this, Die Hard, Michael Bay fireball explosion. It's the most unfucking real thing ever. And I'm like, oh shit. And the outlets were quiet. All the different retail stores, everybody's quiet. People are coming outside talking and stuff. So I call my father, and my dad's like, yo, they just hit the fucking Pentagon. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, no way. We're the strongest military in the entire planet. And they just hit the Pentagon, and it's on the news. They just hit the Pentagon. So, but then, it just, what do you call it? Everybody left work early. Everybody went home and just watched TV, watched the president, George Bush Jr. on TV, and just, watched it unravel and stuff. But, a little far removed from it. I wasn't down there at ground zero, but it was definitely a very emotional.
It's still local to you, though.
Way closer than
most people.
Very emotional. So
so you and I are pretty much the same age, I bet. What are you, like 40?
41?
Okay, I'm 40. Okay. Yeah. And I was
good age, right?
Yeah.
Everything starts breaking.
Dude, that's how I feel. Like everything just hurts.
38 was a motherfucker.
38 was a motherfucker. Even though like Austin over there is fucking, what are you?
I'm 31.
31 now. You just turned 31. Yeah, he's still a child. But he's falling apart because he was infantry as well. So all right,
cool, very cool.
Take us to what happened post September 11th, because you said you enlisted in the Army, correct?
Yeah.
What did you do in the Army?
So, they had a quick response to 9/11. They started sending people to Afghanistan. It popped off a little bit, got quieter. I started watching, I was watching the news like all the time, like kind of unhealthily. And I saw like the invasion of Iraq getting ready to kick off. So to me, I'm like, I want to get a piece of that. And like, based on, I was a big history guy. Like, you look at Desert Storm, I thought the invasion of Iraq would be like a flash in the pan. Like if you didn't get on that bus, you were gonna miss it. Like they think would probably last a couple months, and that would be the end of it. Amazing that insanely it goes on for years and years and years. So
Mhm.
I went to the recruiters and I was like, listen, I'm like, I want to go, but like I want to get in the action. Like I want to fight. Like
Mhm.
and I picked all these units I wanted to go to. I'm like, oh, can I get it like a contract to like 101st, 82nd, 10th Mountain, something like that. And they gave me like a list of like units I never even knew. So one of them was Third Infantry Division, and they were like, I was like, I'm like, I don't know about any of these units, blah, blah. And the guy's like, listen, you want to see fucking combat? He's like, I swear to God, Third ID is gonna go. He's like, I'm telling you. I'm like, it's already in the plans. I have friends. First Brigade's gonna deploy. They're gonna be the spearhead, 100%. They're gonna come from the south. And I was like, all right, and I trusted him. And he was right. Like I went to the right brigade and everything like that. So then I went, for 2003. I wasn't there for the invasion. I got there late. I got to the train up, basic and AIT and everything. But
Mhm.
I got to take part a little bit in OIF 1.
Okay. And where was Third Brigade out of?
3rd Brigade at that time was out of Fort Benning. So
Okay.
third Infantry Division had 3 brigades. 1 and 2 were at Fort Stewart, and 3rd Brigade was at Fort Benning.
So that had to be interesting because we're both Austin and I are infantry as well.
Yeah.
So you basically completed AIT and then you stayed at Benning.
No, I went to Stewart.
I'm an idiot.
That's all right.
But you stayed in
No,
Georgia.
I was thinking
You stayed in Georgia. Sorry.
Yeah, I stayed in Georgia. Yep.
Brain fart for a second. But you stayed in Georgia and then you went, okay. All right, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
what year, what time frames were you over there? Because it's really similar to my time frames.
So I didn't get so the invasion kicked off about March 19th of 2003, and they did the push. So I was in 1st Brigade. So I was in 27 Infantry attached to 369 Armor. They went over the berm. They pushed through the Carbala Gap, did the Thunder Run. Took my battalion took over the airport. So I show up about over a month later in the April. And what happened was I went there as a replacement for guys that were killed or had family emergencies that had to get back to the rear. So I went with my chalk. It was crazy. We flew like Delta Airline out of Hunter Army Airfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say about 2/3 of the plane were not filled. So like we were like had all the room in the world. We get there, they didn't really know what they were doing with us. We get to Kuwait, we get to Doha, put us on a C-130, flies right into Baghdad. Like Baghdad's like international airport was like freshly taken over, like over a month. And we met up with our unit, and then we all got divvied up between different platoons in the companies, and we just did missions and stuff like that, and did basic stuff in the city. Nothing really crazy. I didn't really see any combat there. Like pretty much like the shock and awe, like my opinion, like beat the shit out of the Iraqis. Like they had the insurgency, which like in its infancy. They really know what was going on. Like they really got taken out. Like we were just driving around, no problems everywhere. We were in light skin Humvees. We had the Bradleys. There was a couple times I did trips in deuce and a half Under Armour deuce and a half trucks. So like we're all pulling security with our legs dangling off the sides. So yeah, so we ended up redeploying back to Stewart in September, and that's when the insurgency started manifesting. Like 1st Armored Division was taken over, and they're the ones that were just getting hit like nonstop. So like the ugliness that eventually became the war started to emerge. So, but then 2004 we did another train up, and then I went back to Iraq for my second tour, and that's the blood and guts combat that I saw over there, and that was the whole year of 2005.
Okay. Yeah, so you got there a little bit before I did. I ended up showing up with 2nd ID, the 1st Striker Brigade that went over in like 2003, but at the end of 2003.
Okay.
Baghdad was already secured. The war was technically over.
Yep.
But we were the first units to push up into like Mosul and like secure some of those LZs, secure some of the areas that became like bases. And
Fort Carson? I'm sorry.
No, Fort Lewis.
Fort Lewis. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Fort Lewis, 1st Striker unit that went out there. But then when our deployment was coming to an end, we just had on a guy like 2-3 weeks ago that actually replaced my unit and was in from 2004 into 2005, where it got
Bad.
messy. It got really bad because for a long time, like we saw a lot of combat in our deployment. However, the IEDs that they were using weren't strong enough to penetrate the hull of like the strikers. So if we hit one with our striker, we just roll over it. Their best chance of killing us were like outside of the striker, and that's how they got some of their like confirmed kills on us at least. Um, so fast forward, we leave country. You guys are back in country. When did you show up? And you said 2004 or 2005?
2005. We showed up like early January 2005, and I went to
Okay.
Samara, and I replaced First Infantry Division, like
Okay.
226.
Yeah, dude, my first mission I ever did in Iraq was in Samara. Yeah, and we had 4 KIA on the first mission out there. Like it was like Samara was a tough area.
Yeah.
All right, take us through that. Take us
Take
through
it smart.
Yep.
So like the invasion, there wasn't a lot of dismount like action, not as much like from my unit, from the stories that they told me and everything. It was a lot of mounted vehicle like combat, like so like a lot of the Bradley gunners were just like murking people all over the fucking place. Like the Karbala Gap was a turkey shoot down at the airport. They actually engaged a couple T-72s. They had the first javelin kill was from Bravo Company 27 Infantry. They blew T-72 up at the airport. There's like famous footage. So a lot of the guys I was with were just like grizzled veterans, and there wasn't that much of a changeover between that first deployment and the second one. So I was going with like some really OG bad motherfuckers for the next tour. So they were telling us about Samara was just like a really, really bad city. It was like in the Sunni Triangle, whatever. So pretty much the basic backstory of Samara was they bypassed it during the invasion, and they went back in there occasionally to go check it out, and they'd always get attacked. There was always ambush, IED'd out, and everything. So they went in there. They did a First Infantry Division sent on a whole attack in there. I think a whole brigade. They went in there and they killed like a ton of people. And it was like I think it was on Easter Sunday in 2004. And then they just fell back, and they're like, it's not even worth it. Then they were kept getting attacked from there and having problems with it. So in October of 2004, they're like, we're going back in there. We're going to establish a patrol base in the center of the city so we can launch operations and keep eyes on them. The insurgents won't be able to do dick because we'll be there, all the time. So they launched Operation Baton Rouge. I think it was October 19th. Excuse me. They go in there, they kill like another 150 people. They take over a school building in the middle of the city, and they fortify it. They destroy all the buildings around it, so it has like a good standoff with the city. And they name it Patrol Base Uvalde after a Pennsylvania National Guard soldier that was killed during the attack. And then they were in there, and they were just attacked all the time. But they were able to respond and go right out and attack back and really fight the insurgency. So we hear all this, and we roll up there in January 2005, and like day one we were getting attacked there and everything, and it just kept going and going. But it was definitely a wild experience. You want to know like day one there?
Dude, yeah. I mean,
so I'll give you an example. So day one, the closest FOB, forward observation base, to us was Brassfield Mora, and I think it was like about 40 minutes outside the city. So I was mechanized. We were in Bradley's, and I have nothing. A lot of people talk shit about Bradley's and all this stuff. They made that movie Pentagon Papers. I have nothing bad to say about it. It was they majority of the time took the IEDs, 25
dude,
millimeter
it's like
chain gun.
mini tank, man. It's like
got tow missiles.
Yeah, dude, they're badass.
It's an awesome support by fire just platform. So against a dismount, if we got into shit and these things rolled up or they're just next to us, it was just a big deterrent, and it would just lay down a lot of hell on whatever we were engaged with. So we roll into the city, and they're playing rock music. They have the iPod shuffle connected to the friggin' speakers in the back and stuff, and we're like, oh, what's this place? We've seen photos of it and shit. Like, so anyway, we roll through the gate. We go into they have like a little motor pool, and this place is small. It's like a little school building. It's fully fortified, sandbag. There's camo netting draped all over the top. Everything's barricaded. There's an entranceway with an armored personnel carrier, a 113 with a 50 cal guarding it. All the vehicles lined up. They have HEMTs with fuel, like, buried and dug, down low. So in case a mortar fire or indirect won't hit it, it catches on fire, it'll be kind of secluded. So we all get out there. We meet the 1st Infantry Division guys, and we're like, "Hey, what's going on?" They bring us into this little dining facility, and outside you hear boom, boom, boom. And what the fuck? One of my squad leaders comes running, and he's like, "Yo, shit!" He's like, "Yo, some mortars just landed right outside there." We're like, "Get the fuck out!" He's like, "No, man, they just fucking landed." We're like, "All right." They bring us up. They bring us up to our living quarters. It was on the 3rd floor, and there was all different like little classrooms that they cleared out, and they had bunks in there and cots and stuff. And they're like, "All right, this is gonna be your room until we move out." They're gonna do like a right seat ride thing, show us how to go about it, and then they're gonna leave, and then we take over. So while we're in that room, the machine gun bunkers are right above us. They start fucking going at it, and there's like dust settling from the ceiling. We're all looking at each other like it's gonna be a good year here. It's a lot, just fucking. They're just racking rounds off, and you hear them yelling over the radio like, "What the fuck's going on here?" So we're all starting to settle in, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I left something in my track in my Bradley." So I'm like, "Yo, Sarge, I'm gonna go out, Sergeant, I'm gonna go out there." So I go down. So I'm walking out there, and you see the lines of the Bradleys, and we have tan Bradleys because they're the Desert Storm ones, and they have green ones because theirs came from Germany, because they were all camouflaged, for the fight in Europe that never happened during the Cold War. So they have their vehicles, we have our vehicles. I'm looking for my Bradley, I can't find it. So I'm like, "Oh, I look, it's getting fuelable in the corner." I'm like, I'll just, when it comes back, I'll go back out there. So I spin around to walk away, back into the building, and a fucking mortar hits like fucking 60, 70 feet away from me. Boom! Hits an Iraqi soldier and a 1st Infantry Division soldier. They fucking go flying, giant dust cloud. Boom! A bunch of 1st Infantry guys jump on top of them. I'm just standing there like watching this, like, what the fuck? I spin slowly and just do like a slow jog, like, "Oh shit!" These 2 dudes just got nuked with a fucking thing. So one got shrapnel in his hand, one got shrapnel in his ass. So I don't know where I'm going. So I'm just like jogging. I'm like, all right. So if I can go around the side,
I'm going
door,
the opposite direction.
it was like, they got grabbed up right away. Like a million people were, were hero status. Like, "I got you, bro!" And threw him on them. So I run through the side door. It ends up being like the medical bay, like the aid station for the fucking that 1st Infantry has. They come in there, they throw the dudes on the stretcher. The American guys like, "Fuck, man, fuck!" The Iraqi guys screaming, crying, and shit. And one of my sergeants there just looking at me like, "This is gonna be fucking crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, man, this is gonna be fucking crazy." So that was like the first day there. We got like hit with like I think it was like 9 mortars hit that right, and it was like the area was probably the size like a football field, a little more. So it was a small area, man. They were dropping those 60, 80 millimeter mortars right in on us. So, but yeah, it was crazy, man. That was just the start of a wild year.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
I'm having like Allie freak out.
Oh, you're good.
Right now. That's why I've been on mute this entire time. I've been listening.
You're good. I figure. Tell Amanda to do her job and take care of the dogs.
I don't want to say that because I won't get laid for a while if I'm rude like that.
I'll text her right now.
I thought about texting her.
I'll text her. Take care.
No,
but yeah, no. I mean, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, and so take us through a little bit more of your deployment and or get us to where the police department comes in.
Yeah, so the deployment, we were just fighting them all the time. So in the beginning, we would drive around and we were like trying to pull cars over. We were trying to find there was like them bringing weapons and IEDs into the city. So we're doing different types of we'd pull them over, jump them out, pull the people to come out. Then like insurgents would see what we were doing and they attack us. We have another element set up. We started like trying to bait them. So like in a Bradley platoon, there's 4 Bradleys and there's 2 infantry squads. The 2 infantry squads are broken down in their teams, and pretty much a team and whatever extras ride on 1 Bradley. So what we do is we throw a squad up on a rooftop to try to draw fire to see if the insurgents would shoot at us, while the other Bradleys and dismounts were all mounted up, waiting to come around flank. So we would get shot at, we would engage, call out where they are, and they'd swoop around and attack. It really didn't work that well. the thing that we started doing that just fucking ruined the insurgents was we would set up these little kill teams. So at night we had a strict curfew, like shot or kill or capture, like from what do you call it, 8 at night to 6 in the morning. We would send teams out of guys. We do 4-man teams, 5-man teams, maybe even a whole squad, and we would hide up in a building. Pretty much the people that lived in the house were like held hostage; they couldn't leave, and we'd have be on the radio, and we'd have a QRF waiting, quick reaction force of some Bradleys waiting for us in case we got into shit, which happened a couple times, and we'd sit there. The sun would come up, and we just sit there and wait. Sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's a couple days, and we just wait for the insurgents to come out. Try to set up an IED, or we see them making moves with weapons and stuff, and we just kill them. We call it up on the radio in case we missed them and they escaped, and then we were just friggin' but by doing that, we really wiped out, what was going on over there. So
yeah, so I brought up a Bradley's just so
Bradley.
people can see what we're talking about.
So
I want you to show like an interior picture of the Bradley.
Interior picture.
Because
you didn't say that. You just said Bradley.
I know. I said it was like Bradley, but like this is 1 and 2 because like first off, shout out Bradley because it is definitely a stronger and more powerful vehicle than the Striker, but it is very compact in the inside in comparison to like the Striker.
I was in a Striker, and like one time we were doing training, and there was a Striker there, and like I was like, ooh, we got some room in there.
So much more room. So much more
legs up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we like bringing up pictures and stuff because the cool thing about this podcast is it actually can be seen on Spotify or on YouTube. So
cool.
Occasionally, we like
here we go.
There you go, right in the back.
Right there you go.
So you got the two benches. You have the two benches. We have like ammunition stored under there, and then you got the turret door in the middle. So you would have the commander, which would either be a sergeant, and then the gunner would be to his right. And then all the way to the left, that dark little hole is where the driver would sit. So my Bradley got hit 4 times at IEDs. I was in the back for 3 of them. So none of them penetrated, thank God. But definitely a shake. But unfortunately, we had one of my buddies lost his legs to an EPF, the projectile IED, blew through underneath and took his legs off. And then I had one friend that was killed. The projectile shot right above like where the hatch met the hole and killed them, unfortunately. But most of the time the Bradley did good. We had reactive armor on ours too, which was pretty nasty. So I had one of my friend's Bradleys in the other platoon. He got hit with RPGs 2 days in a row. And the first day got hit in the side coming in, and RPG flew in, hit the reactive armor. The explosive armor blew the explosion back out. And then the second day, while he was rolling out, a guy hit the front of the Bradley with an RPG, and same thing, hit the reactive armor and blew his way out. But that was wild, man. It was no joke. And I was thankfully I was with a group of guys, and like we weren't fucking playing around. And that was that.
Okay, so what was the time frame from when you got back to when you got out and decided to become a cop?
So we're gonna go back in time like Quentin Tarantino style. We'll go back to I recently get back from Iraq the first tour, and one of my buddies, he was a sergeant in my platoon. He was a fellow New Yorker. He's like, yo, bro. He's like, yo, they're giving out the NYPD test at the officers club. We should go take it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll take it when I get out. If I get out, whatever. He was like, no. We need to take it. They're giving us free. We'll just go. It'll take us like 2 hours. Thank God I listened to him. So I go to the officers club. They had a ton of soldiers there, and they had NYPD recruiters that are all wearing their polos. They're like, hey guys, welcome. We're giving out this test. When we get your scores back, we'll send it to you. All you have to do is get a letter signed by your CO. We'll defer your score, and as soon as you get out, you give us a call, and we'll start your investigation and your processing to come into the police department. So I was like, all right. So I took the test. They sent me I passed and everything. Middle of 2004. I got
What's that test look like?
So I've taken a couple police tests. This one was pretty fair. It was the beginning of it was like memorization, a lot of like what the heck is it? I'm trying to think here. Vocabulary comprehension, right? Different like police things, like what questions you should ask, this and that. Then there was a lot of like psychological questions and stuff like that. And then that was pretty much it. I've taken so many different police tests. Like I've taken one police test that was like complete psychological, like there was hardly any police questions, and then I took another test that was like completely just police questions. So they vary, and also too like years now, they've probably definitely changed. It's depending on what the department's looking for. But I took the test. I did well, thank God. I got my CO to sign off a letter. I sent it up to New York, and they're like, "Yep, when you get out, give us a call." So I ETS out of the army in April of 2006. So I was like, what happened with me? I was in the period during stop loss, like you guys were. If you did what do you call it? If you were getting out of the army ETSing 3 months before deployment, you get sucked into deployment. So I had a lot of friends that were in that October, November, December for the next deployment for third ID. So they just re-enlisted. They're like, screw it, let me get the money. I'm going anyway. Me, I was like at that crossroad. I was like, am I going to stay in? I don't know. But the reason why I went with ETSing, and I was like, honestly, this might be a sign from God. Like, check out this NYPD thing as an opportunity. So I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. If it works out, cool. If it doesn't, I'll come back to the army. And so I get out of the army at ETS. I'm literally driving from Georgia I-95 up to New York. I call an investigator, start my investigation and my processing, and like 3 days later, I was in the academy in 3 months. Like I didn't have a time to even take a breath. Like I hit the ground running.
Wow.
Yeah, went right into police
Damn.
academy. July of 06, I was in the academy.
That's crazy fast.
So, retrospective, looking back, it was awesome. Like what's the point of hanging out for like a year and a half?
No, yeah,
just getting in it.
Especially after your second deployment, where you saw a lot more combat and you saw a lot more loss of life. Like on my first deployment, it happened to be at the very end of my enlistment. I was stop loss for like 6 or 8 months of my deployment, and it was just enough. So I think like you get to that point where it's like you got to make a decision what's going to be best for like the long run. Like you experienced it, you did your part, you were part of defending our country post 9/11, and now it's time to get out and do something else. So I think it's cool that you found like a transition so fast.
Yeah.
And I think it helps because a lot of people that get out, they have a long transition period, and they either get in trouble and because end up in jail because they start drinking or doing something stupid, or where you didn't have the chance to, you were straight into something else with a whole new career.
Law enforcement too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And not to take away either, because like most of us come back from these deployments and like it takes a little bit to sink in, and it's usually like our family and our friends that notice that we've changed and we're suffering from PTSD, yet we don't know that ourselves. So you went straight from being in combat to weeks later being in a police academy essentially, and then becoming a police officer. Take us through that.
So it's pretty wild. That's the one thing I like. It's like I had the experience of being in the military, seeing combat, doing all that, and then being boom right into the police department, and then seeing how the police department was, and it's very interesting. Like my different opinions and points of views on everything. So the one thing, like, I'm very fortunate, like a lot of the baggage you have from, that's the one thing about the military is, you have a traumatic event like that you would have in America. And, America, like in America, people usually, they only have like a traumatic event and then they have a long time to get over it. Where in the military is like, your friends just got killed. All right, cool. All right, we're going on a mission. Boom. All right, you just killed somebody. All right, boom, you're back on a mission. Like I had some engagements, and like like you're rolling out. Like I got blown up by an IED Point Man. I got a Purple Heart, and I got stitched up. It wasn't bad, whatever. And I was on mission again that night.
Yep. You're back on mission.
I'm talking to my ex-wife, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I didn't want to tell her. I had like the 3M earplug in my ear because my eardrum blew out.
Yeah,
like, what's wrong?
The ones that work so well.
It's so fun. I know. So, but like you have those traumatic experiences, and then like you don't have any time to catch up or make sense of it all. So, what do you call it? I'm trying to like circle back to what was I even talking about? But so now coming into the police department, so I have all that crazy stuff, and I'm going right into the police department. The thing that I figured out, and like I think it's good advice if anyone wants to listen to it, is that like you're coming into a new world. Nobody cares about what you did. Like, like you need to, do achieve the next thing in your life. You need to just, be quiet, see what's up, and take what you learn and how professional you are and everything like that, and just apply it to what you did. Like I know a lot of people, they come out with a chip on their shoulder, like, who I am. Nobody cares. You could be like,
Nobody gives a fuck what you
nobody gives a
did.
shit. And the people that matter do care, but most people don't. And if you understand that, I think you'll be more successful. Like everybody wants to know what you did. What's the last thing you did? So I went to the police academy. I remember like I was taking a physical fitness test to get in, and I'm right next to a Fallujah Marine, a fucking Phantom Fury Marine. That guy, like those Phantom Fury guys. So we're standing there, and they're yelling at us like, "You're going to be on a foot post weighing 14 pounds a gear," and we're like looking at each other like, "What the fuck? That's nothing.
That's
bro.
nothing.
Nothing.
That's like
That is
that's not even
nothing.
my assault pack, But like you
Yeah.
can't, you're not. But you're in their world. You're in the NYPD
Yeah.
land. Like like nobody gives a fuck. That So you just okay, no problem, 14 pounds, and you fucking move on. So I went through the academy like everybody else, and just friggin' put my nose down and made it through. And then I was out on the street in January. Into a pretty good precinct. Had a lot of violence and stuff, and began being a police officer on the street, and that was a whole nother experience.
Okay. And then so you went from police officer, and then you were saying, like you said before, you didn't even know like a sketch artist was a thing. Like talk about that. Like how'd you find out about that? Like how did that all happen?
So like I was talking before, my dad drew and everything, so obviously I got like the artistic bug from him, and I always drew as a hobby, and I love drawing. I loved art. I took art in high school. Never did anything in college with it, and that was it. But I always drew as a hobby, and kept up on top of it. And flash forward, I'm a regular cop on the street. I did midnights. I'm doing patrol. Answering 911 calls and stuff. I started doing other stuff too in the precinct. And I'm getting the one thing about the NYPD. There's so many units and so many different opportunities. There's like scuba, emergency service. There's highway.
I mean, it's NYPD. It's like one of the biggest.
33,000. It's huge.
Never heard of it. Never.
Yeah, never. I've never heard of New York. What's that?
So I did an interview with Tom Brokaw for American Movie Classics, and there was a bunch of people there, and one of my friends was talking to him, and the guy came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you can draw?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can draw." He's like, "Your boy says you can draw really well." I'm actually friends with this detective over in the sketch artist unit. I'll give him a call, and you should go down there and see what's up, see if there's a position or anything. I'm like, all right. So he gave me a phone number. I called this one detective, Juan Perez, great first grade detective. And he's like, "Yeah, come on down." So he's like, "Come down with your portfolio, and we'll set up a drawing test, and we'll see what's up." So I went down there, my little crappy portfolio. I shoved it together, and he's looking at my stuff. He's like, "All right, stuff's pretty cool. Okay." He's like, "All right, you got to come and take the drawing test." So I did a drawing test, and the drawing test was pretty rugged. Like I was sweating. Like that's it. Like you shit the bed there, it's over for you. I did well, and he's like, "Man, yeah, I like you. You got a lot of talent." He's like, "Unfortunately, you have to wait for me to retire. It's a 3-man unit, so I had to wait for him to retire." So this is 2011. So I went back, I was back in the precinct just doing, regular police stuff. And I waited. He finally retired in the end of 2014, and they picked me up in January. So that was like one of the happiest days of my life. But
I wanted to talk about that. What did that entail? Like,
so being a sketch artist,
what did you do?
Being a sketch artist is pretty wild. It's just like just a really good job. And so I fell into the under the detective bureau, the NYPD. So I was on track to get my detective shield within 18 months. So I went there, and they started training me on how to do different stuff. They showed me the FBI books and different ways to do it. It's all like self-taught inside the unit, and how to interview people and stuff like that. Because like we deal with like crazy crimes, homicides, rapes, all sexual assaults, all wild stuff. And that was it. And then I got my first case like 3 months later after I got there. And that was it, just case after case after case for the 8 years I was there. and I got this, it was really cool. I was able to use my talent that I never thought I would ever use for anything really, and using it to help people, help detectives in the street, solve crimes and stuff like that, be a tool for the NYPD. And then like seeing my artwork out there on the news, on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, New York One, you see my art was like everywhere. And then like when they actually catch the guy, for some of these high profile cases and stuff. So very rewarding, and it's total different type of thing from everything else I was doing in my life to that point. It was a big change, very rewarding.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Bring up his page. I want to see.
I was waiting for him. I was waiting for him to be done talking. And I was gonna bring it up. So and then talk about Battle Tribe, because that's your company.
Yep.
That drawing behind you is one you did.
Yep. Okay. But so I'm not really great with social media, and I had one of my friends I used to work with. He was always like, "Hey, you got to, Instagram's a great, asset and a great resource to get your artwork out there to show people and everything." So I was like, "All right, cool." So I started slowly doing it. So in 2018, I started putting a lot of my artwork up there, and I was like, I should make a lot of people are like, "Oh, I should make a brand, like an umbrella that would signify, like what I'm doing. Like I could release all my artwork underneath this title." So I was trying to come up with a title, and I came up with the title Battle Tribe, because everybody's very tribal. Everyone wants to belong to like a group, and like who's more tighter than the people you go to battle with. So at first it sounded a little corny, but like now it's like Battle Tribe. I see people in Battle Tribe. It's like it's become a thing. So that's it, and it just started exploding. And I've got to do a lot of cool art and work with a lot of cool people and companies and other brands, and it just list goes on and on. And it's a real infectious bug to create, and it's just been fun, and that's what I do full time now since I've retired. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Very cool.
And I take it you're a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Yep. So I do a lot of pop culture, and now that I'm retired, I've been introducing different cases and stuff that I worked on back in the day.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those. I've seen a couple of those that you've been doing recently.
So many. It's like endless. Like it sounds a little corny, but every sketch, is a story. It's 100% true. Like every one of those drawings I've done has had it's a person that has a story, and very interesting stuff. I've done so. That's another thing too. Is I'm a regular dude, and I've been able to help out in some amazing, like larger than life cases, cold cases, and the last one I really had that was like on the way out before I retired was a homicide from 1976 that got solved, and my drawing was able to help the detectives on the ground doing all the work to, help bring this guy to justice. And they catch the murderer, and he just went to jail. 76 years old. He murdered this dude and cut him up and buried him in his backyard. Being a part of that, it's very rewarding.
Damn, what's your most memorable? Oh, what were you gonna say, Rob? Go ahead.
I was gonna say what. So, how does it essentially work compared to like what we see in the movies? You know what I mean? Like with the sketch artist, because you're sitting down with someone and you're interviewing them. Take us through it. Maybe even take us through, if you're allowed to discuss it.
Yeah,
that case of getting that murder taken off the street.
That case is like a whole. I'll give you like the standard like generic story of like the case.
Yeah.
The bread and butter of the sketch artist is composite sketch. We bring a victim of a crime in, we sit down, talk to them, have a rapport with them, and we interview them and find out what, have them describe the person. And a lot of people, they have problems describing. It's hard, because a lot of these a crime happens so fast, but a lot of them are traumatic. So their image of that person is burned into their brain. So it's like the way we try to draw it out. So we talk to them, we interview them, then we show them photos. We always have mug shots of like perps from the 80s and 70s, based on race and age. And they look at them like, the reason why we use really old photos is they're great for detail, but also too, it's like there's no chance that the person's in there, because it's 40 years old or whatever. So we have them pick out features that they like: eyes, nose, lips, shape of the face, along with the descriptions, and based on anything that they had told us in the interview. We put it together, they hang out, we draw it in secret, reveal the drawing to them, and they tell us how crappy it is. Not only they tell us, like, what they like, what they don't like, and we go back and forth. And I've had sketches where I flipped it around and, like, that's exactly, don't change a thing. That's exactly how the guy looks. And that's always a great thing, because, like, you have to really listen to them, and also too, if they're not comfortable, they might miss a detail, a scar or a tattoo or something out of the ordinary that would help nail that perp. So we do that. We get the drawing to the best we can, thumbs up, and we get it, and it gets just, distributed to detectives, released in the media, put on wanted posters on Instagram, social media, the news, and it gets out there, and then we wait, and the detectives on the ground, who are the real, the hardworking guys and gals that get out there and make it happen. But and then they bring the guy to justice, and then they get them and they start the whole thing. But very rewarding. But that's all, most of the job. And then the other stuff I do is I do, like, DOA, dead on arrival identification. Like, you'll take a person who is murdered, they don't know who they are, and I have to put them back together again. I've had some really really brutal cases. I was actually going to post it about it today. Had a woman that was, like, brutally murdered. She was cut up. She had no arms, no legs. I had to respond to the morgue. I had to draw her, release it. So, and then finally somebody saw it and was able to identify her. And then they ended up finding out. They had to find out her roommates murdered her. Pretty wild. I had one guy that was murdered and then put in a house and set on fire. So he was, horrifically disfigured.
Damn, crazy stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's wild. So then, and then the cold cases, like the one I was just talking about, where they bring you with this evidence and stuff, and you have to put a face to it as best you can, and then they use that as to help try to solve it. But that's a long shot. But the NYPD,
well, especially when it's like 30, 40 years old.
Yeah, like that cases. You want to hear about that case? Or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
So that case. So the backstory is in 2019, right before the apocalypse, right before, a woman was going to her therapist and was like, she recalled her stepdad came home with garbage bags, and asked her to help bury him in the backyard, and there were human remains in there. So the therapist is like, yo, you got to call the cops. So she calls the police. Detectives get involved, and they're like, oh, so they find out it's totally legitimate. They find out her old address. They get warrants. They talk to the new owners. They bring a cadaver dog in, hits right away. They dig up the backyard. They find human remains of this person. They do a DNA test. Nothing comes up on any criminal records or anything. They end up doing genealogy, familial DNA, and they find out 5 family members scattered throughout the country. And they're like, oh, we had an uncle, and he was in his 80s, and he went missing back in 1976. So they find that. So they come to me. I get the phone call, and they're like, we have 5 relatives. We have a missing report of what the guy weighed, looked like, and everything like that. Can you take the photos of the relatives and the what do you call it, the missing report and the DNA report? The DNA was like, white male, all this type of stuff. And can you put it together and make a person? So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Pretty tall order, but I'm not going to say no. We'll make it happen.
Holy shit.
So I put together, like, I think about 30 drawings of him, beard, no beard, hair, this, that, all different variations on him to give to him.
Mm-hmm.
They show the niece. The niece is like, that one right there looks very close. All right, boom. So they saw it. That night, a family member finds an old photo, the only photograph of this gentleman from 1918 in his World War I uniform. So you take all that work, throw it out, and like, can you age progress this photo? So that's another thing that we do too, is we take old pictures and we age progress them. So based on his weight and all the different descriptions on the missing report, I age progressed him. They used the drawing. They were able to get a bunch of witnesses, and that put him at the scene. And what happened was, he went to go get a haircut after hours and was murdered by the barber. And the barber is the guy who...
That sounds like some Sweeney Todd shit.
Yeah, I know. So it's funny. I made that joke and nobody knew what I was talking about. I'm just like, But yeah. So,
and that's some Sweeney Todd shit. Barber murder.
They end up arresting the murderer. He's in his 70s now, and we were all supposed to go to trial and everything. And at the last second, he took a plea deal, and that was it. But yeah. So, and it was all over the media and the news and everything, and it was just like, so happy to be a part of that. It was, you know, a lot of cold cases, it's a shot in the dark. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that one, you know, solving a murder from 1976 is pretty wild. But like,
Yeah, and that guy thought he was gonna get away with it too. Like he
yeah,
was in his
so
That was before
seventies.
he
all of us
definitely
were born.
Yeah.
he definitely murdered other people. That's just the one
Oh
that
yeah,
got
for
that.
sure.
That got so, you know. So the thing too is but like also to the like if you look at the whole lineup of people involved in that case, like the head detective that I worked with, I went to homicide school with him. Guy's a stud. Like NYPD was firing on all cylinders with that case, and it's one of the reasons why they got him. And it's just proud to be a part of it. And it was great too. It was like a really big case I was really into, and for that
Hmm.
to be a success as I walked out the door and retired was very rewarding.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
So, what's your I was gonna ask, what's your most memorable or your favorite case you've ever worked on?
Um, hmm, there was one. There was so it's weird. It's like I've done all different types of cases, and there's been cases where I've been like, this case is gonna blow up. It's gonna be all over the place, and like nobody hears about it. But I had one case. It was back. It was like one of my first really big ones. I got a lot of notoriety for it. It was like all over the news and everything like that. Back in 1976. Back in 2016, there was like a rash of stranger slashings throughout New York City. It was just like I think it was like 35 or something around there. But it was just random people just walking up to people and slashing their faces open. So the case was it was an elderly woman. She was walking there in her neighborhood, and a guy with a mask went up and slashed, almost slit her whole neck open. And she ended up surviving, but he ran off. So they got the knife. A guy selling textbooks in the area was like walking around, saw him run. His bandana that he was wearing to cover his face flew off. He got a full what do you call it look of his face. So they brought him in, and I did the whole sketch and everything. And the guy knew everything about this guy's face. So they release it. It's all over social media and everything. They do a big press conference about it, and they end up catching the guy. And the guy is like dead on to the drawing. Like the witness was like perfect. But what happened was, so the reason why it cooked off and it was such a big like media thing was there was a terrorist attack in France, and so they had a giant press meeting at police headquarters where I work, and they were talking about terrorism. So the media there is just like, oh, okay, well, okay, terrorism. They talk for like 40 minutes. So then at the end, so you have the mayor there, the police commissioner there, everybody's there, the chief of detectives. They go, so anyway, about slashings, and everybody perks up like, oh shit, because that's what everybody was like really into. And we just so they go to the chief of detectives at the time goes over the case, and they have my sketch blown up like huge next to the perpetrator. So everybody was like, whoa. And then ended up being a reporter for the Associated Press, lived right down the block from where the woman was attacked. She comes in to interview me. I think it was in like 40 newspapers. It was like New York Times, Daily News, New York Post. It was all over the news and everything like that. And it was really cool. It was really cool. A lot of you know, accolades and stuff for that
Yeah,
case.
that's crazy.
Really, it
That's
was really
crazy, man. So is New York as bad as for like violence?
yeah, it crimes up, man. You know, it's pretty bad. You know, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I was having a disagreement with somebody at a function, and I just like, hey, look, Google. You can Google the stats online, you know, and you can see how
The power of
just
Google.
yeah, I know. It's like these are the numbers. You can't lie about the numbers. But
Right.
yeah, a lot of it's unfortunate. A lot of cities have a lot of crime going on at this time. You know, it's
Hmm.
just a phase. You know, the pendulum's swinging.
Yeah.
It's going to eventually go back the other way, hopefully.
Yeah. And speaking of crime, like I said, we were talking before the podcast about the riots and everything, and that
Mm.
you were, on the ground and in the riots when it happened. So,
Yeah,
unless there's anything Rob wants to throw in, we can get into that.
I was just gonna say, take us through that, like time frames and stuff.
yeah. So I'll give you like, so I was actually working the day it cooked off, like the first one. So like obviously everything happened in the news, and like I was like, what's the chances of it possibly coming to New York? And it came, but I come into work, and I work at police headquarters, so it was like early in the morning, maybe like 9, 10. It was like in the zombie movies when everybody's having like a regular day and something's off, like the old lady's getting eaten
It's too quiet.
so I'm like, something's wrong here. I'm in the elevator, everybody's whispering and shit. And I'm like, something. So I go in my office. My sergeant comes in. He's like, "Yo, we all got to go to Union Square. There's supposed to be like a big protest riot thing going on." I'm like, all right. So everybody starts getting their helmets and their riot gear and stuff like that, and their bats and everything. So we all go out there, and we're hanging out there, and it's like a beautiful day. And I think it was like May or June, the end of June. So I remember my wife's texting me. I'm like, "There's nothing going on. I don't know what's going on." And there's like, some homeless guy panhandling in the street, just hanging out there, and nothing's going on. And that's it. And then all of a sudden I hear like loud noise, raw, like you just hear a roar of the crowd coming. The little panhandler guy is running for his life, and this whole mass of people come. And not going into all the gory details, but they're coming through. Nobody's violent or anything, but they're all screaming and yelling, dealing with that. We follow them up for a couple streets. Other units move in, start affecting arrests. We're involved in that. So now it's like that just encompasses the whole day. So now it's getting late out. It's probably like midnight or whatever, and it's starting to rain. And a lot of the protesters that were left kind of just left. And so like, oh, we haven't eaten all day, so we start grabbing a bite, we're eating it and stuff, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get cut loose. This is like the end of it. This is nothing. So a captain comes up to us and he's like, "Yo, unfortunately, guys, I got bad news." And we're like, "What? What's going on?" And he's like, "You guys are gonna be arrest teams. Stuff starting to cook off in Brooklyn. We're gonna go stage back in Union Square, and you just wait there for us to and I'll let you know where you guys got to go." So we're all like, I was with a sergeant and a buddy, and we're all in the car, and we're a little bummed out, like, whatever it is, what it is. So we start to go drive there, and then over the radio on Citywide, we hear them screaming. It sounded like the end of the world. Like, they're coming in the precinct. So one of the precincts was getting attacked. Like they were going in there. So I look at my sergeant. My sergeant's like kind of like dazed out. I'm like, "Yo, we got to go there fucking now, bro. We got to go there now." He's like, "Oh, okay." Boom. Yo, we freaking go there. We get there. They were trying to see. They were trying to get into the precinct. They got fought back, and everything. It was there. It was involved with that, and it was pretty wild, man. And that was the night, like you've probably seen it, the famous photo of the NYPD van caught on fire and stuff. So like that happened right over there. So there's yelling and screaming. Did I think I was gonna die? No, but I'll tell you the one thing though is like the one scary thing was like it was airmail, like people throwing shit off the roofs and stuff. Like you could get hit with something and be really fucked up. But so we were just battling out there and so they have a code. It's called 1013, like an emergency. So we were just responding all over the place to that. We actually we left that precinct that was getting they were trying to get into. It kind of quieted down. There's police cars smashed up, spray painted. Like our car miraculously didn't get hit. Like you go down the line, it's like smash, graffiti, this and that, and then our cars are sitting there pristine. We're like, so we made it. As we leave the precinct to go somewhere else, we hear them yell on the radio. They just threw a Molotov cocktail at a police car. These two individuals in a minivan just fled. They caught them quick. They caught them within like 2-3 minutes. They're like, "We got them surrounded," like just mayhem. We went back on the Brooklyn Bridge. There were protesters going across the Brooklyn Bridge into Manhattan, so we had to circle back around. As we're driving, all this chaos, I saw the flatbed tow truck had that NYPD van that was set on fire. I think got set on fire. They put it out instantly, and then like they flatbedded it and got it the hell out of there. But you could see like the freaking carcass of the van and stuff, and people screaming and throwing stuff everywhere. So, but then so we were out there into the early morning, and just pretty wild. And the rain came down, and they cut us loose, and then we just went. And then it was like that for the whole summer. Like every couple of days, you'd be back out there. Just figuring out where the next riot was going to take place. But it was just all over. But the one thing that was very fortunate about the NYPD, it's such a big agency. Like you have the manpower to deal with all that. Like I really feel bad for a lot of the other police departments that just don't have the size. NYPD is 33,000 strong. The second biggest is Chicago with 11,000 strong, and I think then third is LA is like 8,000 strong, 9,000 strong. If you correct me if I'm wrong. But the NYPD had the manpower to deal with that and the assets and the units and everything like that. So they did the best they could. But they still like a lot of places got destroyed. Like the Village, Soho, all that. Different parts of Brooklyn. But just definitely a wild year to live through, and it just never stopped.
I bet.
It kept going.
Well, especially in, like you said, luckily you guys had the manpower to deal with it all.
Yeah,
I mean, because imagine if you guys were half the manpower that you had, it would have been
yeah,
10 times worse.
yeah. It's just sad because like the people that really suffer is just the regular run of the everyday
Mm-hmm.
civilian person. The person that has a store. Their whole life's invested in that little business, and then people come smash through it, and then just
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
left. It's just, but it's amazing that it's like 3 years ago. It's crazy, right? A little less,
Yeah, it
but
was chaos.
so
Yeah. I mean, you're one of our first guests that lived through it. Because I have a couple buddies I served with that are LAPD,
hmm
and the amount of things he's told me in like confidence is just like he doesn't even want to talk about it right now, or at least a year ago, 2 years ago, because it was rough. And I think like the difference is it comes down to what you kind of touched on, the manpower, because California has a lot of people riding out there too. And if they're like the third biggest, that's it's not the same numbers. And like I don't know, just hats
yeah,
off honestly to you guys. Like we're big supporters of any of the 911 services out there, from paramedics to firefighters, and then definitely our police officers. So
Yeah.
man,
And
thanks.
especially in like New York, because that's where shit pops off. Like if
Yeah,
anything big happens, it's either happens in California or New York.
yeah.
Like
man. No, it's pretty wild too. Like the one thing about being a police officer and like the military is like the military, you go overseas and you see all that chaos and murder, death, mayhem, and you expect it. And then when you come back home where it's safe, and you see it,
mhm.
it's like it's a little off putting. You're like, wow, like it could get really crazy here. Like nothing's safe. It's a
Yeah,
little
and it's different
scary.
when it's your home.
Yeah,
Like if it's happening at your home, it's way
yeah,
different than going overseas somewhere and happening because you get to return to your home where,
yeah,
it's violence free. So, but yeah, I mean, so you just retired, you said, right?
yeah. December 31st. That was it.
Oh wow. Oh, you just real recent. So what
Yeah.
made you decide to retire?
Um, what do you call it? It was like there wasn't really. It didn't seem like there was going to be any more. Like I did a lot, had a great time, and it
Hmm.
was just kind of like time to for the next chapter and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Battle Tribe was really good, and I kind of accomplished everything I wanted to, and I was just like, what else is there for me to do to grow and this and that, and I was like, this it's the end. This is I've done what I've wanted to do. What's next? And having the freedom now and stuff and be able to put more effort into my own projects and art, I think is a good move.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Like I said, okay, and then the other thing that we like to touch on is the mental health side,
Mhm.
and so from dealing with all these cases, from being in the military and dealing with deaths of friends, and then going to the police force and dealing with people who have terrible stories or terrible situations. What do you do so you don't bring that home with you, or you don't let that affect your your daily life, your family life, or whatever?
I I think one important thing is have hobbies, have something you like to do. Like that motion, that the keep swimming motion kind of thing. I think is so
Mm.
important. I think if you just lay around and just let things go, and you're not really active, and you're not immersed with other people and stuff like that, I think it's a dark place for people to go. And we've all had our dark moments and stuff. I also too, what is it? What staying positive, obviously. I think another
Mm.
thing too is like there's a lot of resources out there. So if there was any point in my life, after the military where I like fuck, I really need help, I know I could reach out to somebody. Whether it was a VA service or it was a law enforcement service, like there was just knowing that in case it got too tough, got really bad, I could raise my hand, take a time out, and take care of what I have to do. But
Mm.
also too, having responsibility, like, I was married at a young age and had a newborn kid. So that always motivated me. Like, I need to stay in the fight and keep going because I have people depending on me and stuff. So
Mm.
I just, staying positive and keep moving is, I think, a really good thing.
Definitely. Like I said, I mean, everybody talks about like, veteran suicide but I mean, first responders go through the same things with
Yeah,
PTSD and,
we just
you
had
know,
one too.
yeah, with cops,
I think we had
you
like
know.
3 or 4 this year already.
Yeah, like I said, it happens. It doesn't get talked about enough though. Like everybody
Yeah,
talks about veteran suicide and
yeah, law
everything, but
enforcement's
nobody,
big.
yeah, nobody talks about cop suicide or first
It's huge.
responder suicide or anything else because everybody focuses on veteran suicide. Well, I mean, not to take away from it, but
No.
but nobody talks about the people that fight the battles every single day at home.
Yeah, yeah. You know what it is like just checking on your friends and stuff.
Oh,
Like I
100%.
know it sounds a little corny. Oh, check, but it's important. Hey, what's up, man? You good? You like everything all right, man? Like, yo, you need anything? I've had some really crazy phone calls in the past with different people and stuff, and sometimes that one little phone call, that one little person reaching out or saying something can really, save a life. Change something around. But take care of everyone. Also, like, just be kind to people. Sometimes,
Hmm.
sometimes people
Oh
get
yeah.
rugged, and it might be the tipping point. So, but
Yeah, especially in your situation, like people are going through horrific, circumstances, and all you can do is just try to be nice, so like try to be compassionate with like what
mhm.
they're going through. The last thing you want to do is be an asshole to them and hit their tipping point, and then who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's not easy, but yeah, you have to do it.
Mm. But yeah, no, like I said, man, yeah, like I said, we're thankful for everything you do and
Thank you.
everything law enforcement does, and military veterans, everybody. I mean, like I said, this nation wouldn't be running without you guys doing what you do. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, you got anything to add, Rob?
I was just gonna ask, tell us more about your current endeavors with Battle Tribe.
Mm.
So, yeah, Battle Tribe. So I came up with a brand so I can just release stuff. So I found out a way, to monetize my art, get it out there and stuff. And I've just been doing tons of projects. Like currently right now I'm working on a couple. I'm doing some artwork for a couple companies, and I'm actually doing this is kind of cool. There's a company called Quick Draw Card Company. They're a bunch of retired Royal Marines that are in law enforcement in England, and they have a card company where they make different cards. And they've done decks of cards and all this stuff based on military. So they're doing a 9/11 emergency law enforcement deck. So I'm doing all the artwork for the different cards. So I'm doing like FBI and Coast Guard, NYPD emergency service, and like all different types of things. So that's been pretty cool. But pretty much like the brand though, like I just like whatever I think I want to do, I just explore that avenue and put it out there in the world, and people really eating it up. From whether I do apparel design and I do art like canvases I have on my wall and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Seeing people interact. I've been doing animations and like little clips, and it's just like all different types of nerd culture, art, pop stuff that I wanted to do, and people are enjoying it. So I just keep going. But really cool. I've gotten to do working with a lot of cool companies. I work with Cry Precision, and I did some art for Black Rifle Coffee, and I've just done different stuff all over the place. Met a lot of cool people in the community too. The veteran community and the law enforcement community is a great group of people.
Oh yeah, I mean that's awesome, man. I mean, being able to monetize your artwork and do what you
Yeah,
love, and you know, with not having to worry about like, well, do I have to continue this job or just to make ends meet? You know what I mean?
yeah. The one thing that's cool too is like being an artist. A lot of companies have to hire out. So that's a
Hmm.
big toll. So if you have like a great idea, you have to invest in that idea. You have to hire an artist, this and that. So like me, I cut that cost by being a creative person through all of it. And if I have a bad idea, it just goes away.
Right?
It
You're not wasting money.
doesn't cost me thousands of dollars. But
Right?
there's a lot, and there's a lot of what's so there's a large community of veteran artists out there, which is really
Hmm.
cool. From musicians to art itself and everything. The one thing that's cool too is like I don't know. This is my preference. I like art and things that are produced that have like a background to it. So like like you see the movie Platoon, it's a fucking awesome movie, right? It's because the director, whatever you think about him, but he served, in Vietnam. You know, he was with first ACR or something like that. But like, what's his name? Oliver Stone. You know,
Mhm.
so there's just a very genuine element to that what he made because he had that military combat experience in the background. So like when you see some of my artwork, you know, even though it's fantastical or crazy or whatever, like there's some grounded, you know, there's something in there, you know, from my life experience that I brought to you. And I just think that, and I've seen it, other artists do it and stuff, and I think it's a really cool, different take and very interesting, you know, than just somebody that said like, oh, I read a book and I wrote, you know, I drew something, you know, or like,
Right. That's like,
you know,
and that's just like movies, you know, or TV shows that try to, you know, predict or, you know, or depict like, you know, military or law enforcement. You know, they either get it right or wrong, and
yeah.
you know, depending on who they have on.
That's the thing that sucks too. Is like you're in the military or you're in law enforcement, and it destroys like 95% of the movies out there. You're like, oh, this movie's
You know, they
horrible.
did this right, they did this wrong.
Like a lot of police movies are hard, man. Like, oh, I can't watch this. This is
My
bad.
favorite, the only police movie that I absolutely love that I'm sure you have
I
good
know what
feelings
you're
on
gonna.
is End of Watch.
That's I knew you're gonna say that.
Yeah, that movie is so an emotional roller coaster, though.
Yeah, no, it's pretty
It's
wild.
a, it's a
So,
great movie. That's like one of the best cop movies out there, though.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's funny though. What was the other Training Day? That's legit.
Oh yeah, I mean Training Day is a classic.
No, it's classic.
Isn't that
It's
what
so
happens?
No,
Right? Yeah, that's
Go,
exactly. That's
it's your
like that's
turn.
like.
Shoot me in the chest.
No, it's like the other guys, right?
Yeah,
You know, you
desktop.
do desk pops. Yeah,
Mhm.
you make the rookies come in. Yeah, just do a desk
Yep.
pop. Come on.
The other guys. That's
That's what I
definitely how.
said.
Definitely,
Yeah,
exactly. I love
yeah,
that movie too, but it's NYPD. It's great.
Yep. Exactly.
yeah. That was your day
Yeah.
job, right? You just did desk
Mhm.
pops, make the rookies
Yep.
come in.
Yep. Die Hard, 100%. That's why that's the main reason why I'm proud to be an NYPD detective is because you know John McClane was an NYPD detective.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
Even though it was filmed in like LA.
well, he was vacationing. He was vacationing.
I know. Yeah. But yeah. Like I said, it's funny. So, and unless there's anything else you want to bullshit about, Rob, or
I mean, I like the fact that you've been through a lot of traumatic stuff over the years and you found a way to give back almost, you know, with your artwork and stuff. And I just like that you found a way to retire from both because like even though you technically didn't retire from the military, you left that life behind. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years, and part of the reason why this podcast even exists, is due to the fact that personally, I've had a lot of friends kill themselves over the years. And I feel like those who find a niche that goes beyond the military or beyond whatever is going on in their post-military life that still could be very stressful, such as police work, detective work, homicide work, all the things that you were experiencing, you know, post getting out of the military, jumping right into another stressful thing. I think the ones that stay focused on it, and that's all they have to talk about, and that's all that they are, and that's all that they define themselves at, find themselves in that point where it's almost a point of no return, and we end up losing those people. Whereas there's people like you, Matt, who get out, and yes, you have the experience. Yes, you probably have the nightmares. Yes, you probably have the PTSD, but you're doing something that is benefiting others, and it's benefiting your mental health, and the essence that you're going to be around to try to watch your kids grow up. And it's inspiring. And yeah, I don't know, like I'm very happy you came on the podcast, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I appreciate it. You know,
Yeah.
you know what it is like you don't let it define you. It's an awesome chapter in your life, but like, what's the next thing you're gonna do? You owe it to yourself, your family, your friends. Like, you know, just got to keep moving, man.
100%.
You know, it's
But
so
that's the issue, though, is like we have like many people get out and they let that define them. They're like, oh, I was in the military, that's all I'll ever be. You know what I mean? Now I'm a veteran and I was in the military, that's all I'll ever be. You know, and they don't like you said, you didn't have the time to distinguish. You just jumped right into something else.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, you just got to keep busy. Like find a hobby, find something that you're passionate about, and so you don't just become, oh, I'm just a veteran. I was in the military. That's all I've done with my life. Like, find something else.
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like just saying you're a veteran doesn't cut it. Like you have to like oh, that guy's I'm a veteran. Like you got to okay, you're a veteran, then be professional, clean cut. The person that that everyone's like, why is this guy so squared away? Oh, he fucking did 400 combat missions, 2 tours, did this, did that. Like, oh shit, like that's something later on that be who you need to be. Like don't walk in with your chip on your shoulder. Show them the best you can possibly be.
Right. Don't use it as an excuse to So, but yeah, no, like I said, we definitely appreciate you coming on, and like I said, you have an amazing story, and it's different from most people that we've had on. So it's a different point of view from everybody. I mean, I think you're like the third or fourth cop we've had on here. So
cool, very cool.
But like I said, no one's, but they haven't been sketch artists or NYPD.
there's only like I think when I got into the artist unit, there was only like 100 in the country. I had like a list.
Jeez.
And I'd say about 20% of them were civilians and stuff. So the NYPD that's how like insane the NYPD is. Like we had 3. Like
well, I mean, it's also the NYPD.
3 out of 100. But like I would actually do cases for other agencies too, like scattered around and stuff. So, but no, it was very cool. Very prestigious unit, very fortunate, lucky, to make it in there and be able to help out. Do my art and everything.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So okay, well, and what's there anything else, Rob? We'll get into ATI.
The only thing I wanted to mention is the reason why I'm wearing a Murph shirt.
Oh, he's from Long Island.
Right. No. So, yeah, I mean that's part of it, but typically, I'll do the Murph in May when it's Memorial Day weekend or whatever, and I even did the Murph with a shattered ankle on crutches and a walker and stuff last year. Yeah, I shattered my ankle in like April last year, and then by the time May rolled around, I was able to like use like a walker, and I did like a modified Murph. Well, one of my asshole friends decided to like put out a challenge. He's like doing like pre-Murphs, and it was one of those things that like you ever get tagged in something, but you see so many tags, you're like, whatever. Yeah, I got tagged in this, but so did like 20,000 other people. The problem was in the challenge when he started talking, he's like, and the first person I challenged to do a Murph this week is Rob Zemsik. I'm like, fuck. He said my name like right at the beginning. Like, I'm not even the second person. I'm not the third or fourth person. Like, I'm not just the stupid little name hidden in there. No, I'm like the first name he says, and I'm the first name that he added. And I'm like, fuck, now I got to do a Murph. So I originally planned to do the Murph today, forgetting that I actually had tomorrow off. But it was gonna cut it like super close to your interview, Matt. So I postponed the Murph.
I appreciate it.
Drank whiskey with you guys, hung out,
and then you're gonna do it tomorrow.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow and post about tomorrow. So yeah, I just wanted to
it's good
bring
stuff.
up why I was wearing.
I saw it. It's the town I grew up in. He was from the town next over. I actually met his mother at the VA hospital. I was getting a new ID card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild moment. So yeah, I went to get a new ID card. So I'm sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, you went over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went there twice." And she's like, "Thank you so much for your service." I'm like, "Oh, I really appreciate that." She's like, "No. Thank you for your service. It means a lot to me. I lost my son over there. He was a Navy SEAL." And as soon as she said that, I'm like, I'm like, "Are you Mrs. Murphy?" And she's like, "Yes, I am." I'm like, thank you.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like
crazy.
It was definitely a wild moment. Very sad.
You're like everybody knows who your son
is.
is.
I know. I'm like, sacrifice means a lot, But They actually have a museum there now. I haven't gone to it yet. I think it's the Michael Murphy Museum in Patchogue, New York. But yeah, pretty wild.
That's
Small
crazy.
world. And that was 2005. That was years ago.
Yeah. Lifetime ago at this point. Half our lives almost, and most of Austin's life.
It's crazy. It's crazy, right? Like, did you think, Rob, that Iraq was gonna be over? Like, I thought it was gonna be a flash in the pan, and that was it. Like, that thing went on forever, and then Afghanistan just went on forever.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like, you know, when everyone pulled out of Iraq and watching it fall,
Yeah,
that was very heartbreaking. And then I was an IRR recall, so I ended up going back into the military in 2009, 2010 to go to Afghanistan. And then, you know, seeing that fall apart in 2021?
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Was
so
it 2021 or 2020?
It was last year, right? It was last year, right? No, 21.
it
It
was
was 21.
It was 21. It was 21. It was 21.
So
because
depressing.
2020, everything was on lockdown in 2020. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I have two dogs.
Yeah,
right
two
here
of
right
them.
now.
Two of them. Two wild Vishas.
Two wild Vishwas. We should probably get into ATI, but
Okay.
I would just say, yeah, it's crazy how time keeps moving forward, and you know, you were in around the same time as me. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but we're about ready to hit like what, fucking 20 years ago was the invasion in Iraq. That's insane.
I know.
Like,
Originals,
literally, yeah, crazy.
Did you know what Sergeant Jesse Quinn? He was a striker guy. He was in Barbucuba, I think. He was a 2nd Infantry Division.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Ring a bell? Yeah.
No.
There's a million people.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people in those units.
Yeah.
But it's a shot in the dark sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Rob's being hounded by dogs over there, so we'll get into ATI. We always like to end these podcasts on funny, like lighthearted, fucked up questions. You know, just because sometimes we get into some super serious things, and you know, so we always like to end this on a funny, fucked up, lighthearted note. I mean, we all run on dark humor, and you know, so we always like to end these with a little bit of that. So the first one is, we start off with easy ones. It says, would you rather become the president of the United States or the director of the FBI? What you got, Matt?
Oh man, it's hard, man.
I know.
They're both horrible. I guess president. Let's go big.
I mean, they're both big.
They're both big. But one's a little bit more hidden.
Yeah. Nah, I'll be a president. Screw it. If I was king, I mean president.
Matt Klein, president of the United States.
What, 2024?
Yeah. What do you got, Rob?
See, I think I couldn't handle being hated so much that I think I would be the FBI director, so I can be just a little bit hidden. Because it sucks, because like at the end of the day, like, you know, president's just doing their job, and they have their political points that they're supposed to be appointed under. And in the real world, where the three of us kind of live, I don't feel like, you know, we won't go down a politics rabbit hole.
Yeah,
but
no,
I don't
we're not.
feel
Don't go into it.
I don't feel like someone is just 100% Republican or 100% Democrat, and you have to define yourself that way. And no matter what you do, whatever side you pick, you are absolutely hated, like despised,
for no reason.
For no reason.
Like, you got that flag, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Right? Last time I checked, like, the president's serving America, so like, why do you hate him so much? But anyways, that's FBI director. How about you?
I was 100% going to go FBI director, just because I think it'd be more interesting. You know, probably have some more interesting stuff going on, and then I don't know if I could handle being the president of the United States.
Man, you party hard though as the president, man.
I don't know if I could handle. Yeah, way too much politics. At least, you know, media politics. At least with the FBI director, you're hidden. You're more,
You know what's crazy though? You say something and it's fact checked. Like they're like, "That's bullshit. You didn't say that
Right.
30 years ago." I'm like, what?
Right? Yeah. So,
All right.
okay.
Next question.
Up, Rob.
Would you rather be able to have pizza?
No, you've missed it. You fucked it up already.
Oh my god! Would you rather never be able to have pizza or ice cream ever again?
Fuck.
Tough one. I know what your answer is, though.
What you got, Matt?
I'd rather not have. Oh, it's so fucking hard because I like them both. Fuck ice cream. It's not good for you. It's pizza, but
I knew it. I knew it. New York, that New York slice.
Yeah, it's legit.
That's is, dude. I've been to New York. I've been to New York. It's legit. Like it's not like some bullshit thing.
New York's a wacky state, and I can leave it all behind. But once my opinion, I want to go somewhere else. But the food is like when you come here, everything is
that's like saying you guys have good bagels or something there. You know? I mean, geez.
I remember being in Georgia, and it's like New York style bagels. Like I want to take that sign down. This is bullshit.
I thought LA has the best bagels. I mean, come on.
I don't know about that.
What are you picking, Rob?
I'm sticking with pizza. I can't live without pizza.
Yeah, it's so good.
See, I'm going pizza too because there's other forms of ice cream. Like you got gelato, sorbet, frozen yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are those because those aren't technically ice cream?
Yeah.
So I mean, those are my thought is. Okay, next one. Would you rather have a family of 12 children or never be able to have children at all?
That's a fucked up question, man. I got 3 kids.
As a father, too.
I got 3 kids. I'm like,
hopefully they don't listen to this episode.
Honestly, fuck it. Get the 12 kids. Let's go.
Let's go.
So it's cool. Like my kids are older. Like my son is actually joined the army. He enlisted, so he leaves.
Oh wow! Okay.
He leaves end of July.
What are your thoughts on that?
Hell yeah, man. Yo, who's gonna do it? They're having a big shortage. You know, people they missed their goals last year. A lot of people. A lot of kids.
Nobody. This generation doesn't want to join the military.
And I told my son, man, like, don't do this because I fucking did it, man. You gotta like want this. It sucks, you know. It's a lot of pain and hardship and shit like that. And he got.
It's a lot easier nowadays, probably.
He's doing an option 40, so he's gonna do basic and AIT at Benning, and he's gonna go to RASP, and God bless him. I hope he survives. And then, but like him signing up, and he wanted to do it like 100%. So
what's he going in as?
11, he's going to 11 Bravo option 40.
Okay.
Yeah. But really proud of him. And he's been working out like a motherfucker and getting ready. And I'm like, wow, it's all self-initiated, So
that's awesome.
I would never push anybody that didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's an example of why it's good to have kids.
Okay. What about you, Rob? You going 12 kids or none?
12. Why
12
not?
Kids?
Just start like what is that? That's over a squad. That's like
yeah.
You got a machine gun
squad and machine gun team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
My thought is none, just because you're gonna save a lot of money.
Yeah, but when they get old enough, they can start making that money back for you.
You ain't gonna see any of that. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm going none.
Nah, that's cool.
Poor Amanda.
Nah. Let me tell you, you have a lot of vacations.
Right? Yeah.
All right. So, last question. Would you rather sit on a cactus naked or pee sand?
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, I'm sitting on a cactus.
There's
nothing going in my urethra, man.
Oh, that's going to hurt, though.
Both of those suck, though. What do you got, Austin?
Yeah, both those suck. Yeah, I'm gonna sit on a cactus.
Unanimous. I'm gonna sit on a cactus too.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck.
Anything coming out the pee hole is gonna hurt.
Yeah. I had a squad leader pass. He had a kidney stone, and we were in
basically the same thing.
NTC. We were out in the middle of the desert, and he was like, "Yo, the guy's a fucking stud, Jack, bro." And he was like, "Oh, like,
yeah,
fuck that."
Okay, man. Well, that's it. Is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to talk about, Matt?
No, just keep, check me out on Instagram, follow my antics and crazy stuff. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. There's one, Warriors Heart Foundation is a charity I always, I do a lot of donations to, a lot of work for. Check them out. I'm trying to think, I got always write a list of stuff. Good friends of, friend of mine, Brad Thomas and a bunch of those guys. They have an album coming out soon, Silence of Light. It's a veteran run band. Very cool. I'm doing some stuff for them. They'll be coming out, and just keep checking the Instagram. You'll see there's a lot of cool different projects I'm working on that I think you guys, whoever listens to the show, be interested in. That's pretty much it. Stay positive, right?
Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we appreciate you coming on and like I said, taking the time and hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely. Yo, thank you so much for having me. It was a good time, man.
Of course, man.
Yeah, and stick around for a second or two. We usually get a picture at the end.
Cool.
All right. Austin, you got anything to plug? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap us up.
Nope, that's it, man.
Okay, Matt, we appreciate you. And our listeners, we appreciate you as well. Please share this podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things to keep us moving up in the algorithm. We love you guys. Peace.